Greetings and welcome to another episode of the FIFA 21 Skill Gap Podcast. I don't know why I called it that. It's just the Skill Gap Podcast. But this is the first episode we're doing for FIFA 21. We're kind of resetting everything. If you're watching on Twitch, what up? If you are watching on YouTube, we just started this channel. And obviously these links will now follow on Spotify and iTunes. I'm setting everything up in the background. So there's plenty of ways you can listen. Joining me as usual, if you guys haven't seen the previous episodes, which you can go check out on my YouTube channel, they're there. My original YouTube channel is Persian. Persian, how's it going?
What up, man? What up? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I started, this stream about an hour earlier, so I had a time to play a little bit of this game. And today, what I wanted to do, since it's the first episode for FIFA 21, is kind of just break down mine and your thoughts for the game, everything about it, from menus to gameplay, reactions to the community, and we might even delve into the whole 20 versus 21. Even though I'm not a big fan of like comparing it to the previous game, it might be necessary as well because we do have some contrasting opinions on that. So I think the first thing I want to go on, just to get it out of the way since I kind of care of it the least, is the menus. And usually I wouldn't talk about it, but with how it is this year, I think we might as well. So, you had quite interesting experiences with like the menus so far at the start, especially because you created a new account. What are your thoughts in general? And if you have anything you want to say about like the menus and the the non-gameplay related FIFA 21 stuff?
I think if we take into account like what the rest of the people thought as well, I think everyone's pretty unanimous that the menus are pretty bad because it's laggy, they're unresponsive, you have to scroll through so many things to get to where you want to be, and it's just all in all not a good experience because the game freezes for me every now and then. Like I think 2 patches ago, your game would blue screen when you went to compare price or something like that. So all in all, I think it's just really glitchy and buggy, and still even now, if you do an SBC, I think towards the end of the SBC, your whole PlayStation pretty much freezes up and like everything glitches through. Like I don't know what's going on most of the time. So the menus, I don't know what they've done, and I don't really understand why they decide to change things if they don't know that it's better than the previous version. Why do
Yeah,
you go about it?
they're definitely awful. I don't think I've ever experienced it. Like there's one thing with like delayness and slowness, but I'm dropping frames this year. I've never seen that in my life. I drop frames when I get my rewards from elite squad battles or whatever it is. I literally drop frames. Now, at first I was like, is this like a next gen issue? Is this because this game is built with PS5 in mind? Is the PS4 dying when opening these rewards? I don't know, maybe, because I think we'd have to ask people who play on PC. So if you do play on PC, drop a comment or something. Is it dropping frames from you as well? Because if it isn't, maybe that's an option. Then we also have like a comment in the chat saying they do it on purpose to slow traders. I don't know. Do they really like care that much?
Is that an excuse even? Like, don't people that play on PS4 pay the same price as people that play on PS5? You should get a working product, no?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
I don't think that's an excuse, to be honest. I don't think it's because of that, because at that point, well, we'll get to that in the rest of the podcast, but if that's the case, then the whole game is made for PS5 and that's why everything's like glitchy and buggy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that's a good excuse. I think you should get a working product regardless. And I get COVID like made everything more difficult, but like still, if you're asking a premium price, then you better fucking bring a previous game or
Yeah.
yeah,
There's this visual
premium.
glitch that if you're in the play section, you can select, so you scroll left or right, but once you go right, you can't go left anymore. It's just like tiny things that are just weird. I think one thing that I will mention, or sorry, what were you gonna say on that?
If you go to play and you see like all those little icons in a row of squad battles and squad building, they don't all fit in the same screen. I don't get why not. Like, why don't they make those icons a bit smaller? Because you have to scroll through, and then you can't see what's at the start of the screen anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, which is why you
I
can't
don't-
go back then.
yeah, it's like what? Like, what are they doing right now?
And if it's that big, at least it should work to where you go back.
Like the previous menus were so bad, and they make this look, or this makes that look really good. Like I don't understand how you can go backwards so far. Like it's like none of it's tested. Like it's like I can't imagine anyone sitting there testing this and thinking, "Oh, this is pretty good." Like no one said
it's
it was good.
it's the epitome of you don't know what you have until it's gone. One
Yeah.
main thing, and pretty much my last thought on menus is, I included this in menus, is the rewards. Division 1 rewards, I don't know, but if you guys are in different divisions, let us know as well, like in the comments and stuff. But in Division 1 last year, if you got rank 1, you would get an ultimate pack and a mega, and that's still there for tradable rewards. Now for rank 2 in Division 1, you get 2 rare mega packs, which is awful. Not only that's 120, no, that's 110k packs in value, whereas last year you got 125k packs. So not only is that the value less, but the whole point of a rare mega pack is that the silver lining used to be you get squad finishes. That's not there anymore, and don't get me wrong, that's great. But like that pack is useless now for rank 2, and you got limited games to play in division rivals. I'm most likely finishing rank 2 now, because I'm playing against people with like Mbappes and stuff, so I can't win all like 25 out of 30 games. So I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know how they can like make that aspect of the game less rewarding. Yeah, we get more coins at the start and stuff, but like, who cares? Why would you take that away?
I don't know why they nerf. I genuinely, I mean, I know why they nerf reward. I mean, I think I know why they nerf rewards, and I think it's because they simply just want you to spend more FIFA points and have less. Like, look at the milestones, right? Why are the milestones filled with like all these tifos and all these stadium themes that literally no one cares about? Like that should all be filled with coins, packs. Simple as that. If you grind, it's a milestone. You're supposed to be rewarded for it. If you grind towards 500 goals, you don't want to see a SBC badge that no one's gonna put in their or a gold badge that no one's gonna put in their stadium. Like I don't understand why this is a thing. They just fill it with so much filler. You want to fill up your packs that way to sell, whatever, do whatever you want, but like at least reward people for the grind that they put in or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean the game just came out and stuff, so we might sound a little harsh because it was 4 days in. But for a lot of these things that are there, they won't change. They're just there, and at best, they're just gonna add more stuff. But like, it really was disappointing to see that a lot of the stuff you do to grind, you just get like a tifo or something to add to like stadium customization. Where all we really want is like a means to get better players, aka packs.
It's
And
because we both do a road to glory as well, so we can't just
yeah.
go on and slap on FIFA points. I mean, we can, we just don't want to slap FIFA points to get packs. So there's those aspects like weigh very heavily for us.
They do. They definitely do. But I mean, that's the menus, and at the end of the day, they can only take a game so far. The real deal is the gameplay. And in the past week, like I've only realized the game's barely been out, but like it feels like the game to me has been out for months, because the amount of times I've been asked, "What do you think about the gameplay?" is like ungodly. And I don't even know where to start, but I mean, let's start. Let's start with finishing slash shooting, right? How do you find this game? Just because we're gonna try and break it down piece by piece, and then as a whole, we can, I guess, say our thoughts on that. But finishing and shooting, you hop on the game, you start scoring with your godly, I don't know, Correa. What are your thoughts?
Korea, man. I think finishing is in a better spot than it was last year, but I still think it needs work because I think first post is still too strong. Like I score a lot of goals still at the first post when it shouldn't be the first post. But in general, I think finishing is way more consistent. Um, you have multiple ways to shoot. You can use power shots, you can use finesse shots, first post, second post. So I guess it's definitely in a better state than it was last year. That's probably one of the only like things that I'm pretty satisfied with. I won't complain too much about that, to be honest.
I agree. I think I wrote down the same stuff. The 1v1s are better just because of far post finishing being more viable. That alone just improves the situation. Although I do think, and a lot of times it gets negated by goalkeeper movement. It's like it's even better than it was. Obviously, that's not really finishing related, but it impacts finishing so much because then people start moving far posts. The near post absurdities are going to come out more and more as the game progresses because people are going to get like players like Son. I just got my Son, and I can't wait to back some near post like bangers at this point just to gather some clips because that is still way too viable. But the fact that the bar was so low from last year says it all, I think. And all they had to do really was make far post just viable to improve the situation, which brings us to something that I think in the whole might have actually gotten a whole lot worse because I put these two things together. I put passing and crossing together. Personally, I thought the weight of the passes was like an improvement in the sense that the game feels like a lot more arcadey in the sense that there are moments where the ball will fly off the feet of your foot. Sometimes it's like powerless for no reasons, but that might have something to do with just through balls being broken. I know me and you both tried semi and assisted. Assistance in general in the passes is nutty, which then goes back to something else, which is why it's so hard to like divide these things into categories because that's also interception related. But yeah, in a nutshell, you can still make a lot of those stupid passes that you really should cut out in the middle of the park. And passes that you make specifically after a directional run, which we'll touch on later, they're broken for me. They're actually broken. Like the way the pass and the player lock onto each other in these runs, it's almost as if the game can't handle it. Like you're all of a sudden doing these runs that never occurred and triggering them from places that you've never been able to trigger them, which is a positive. But it's like the game can't put it all together and tie it all together, and you end up with these weird, all of it like super soft passes where if you had passed to someone that you didn't trigger, all of a sudden it's like crisp. So it just feels awful for passing. And then crossing, I mean, I'll leave that one to you maybe. What do you think about crossing?
It's the most broken thing. Like it's like we've gone back to FIFA 19 style, like when people would alternate cross and stuff like that. It's even more broken than that, to be honest. It's like you're shooting a missile at someone's head and he literally redirects it towards the goal. That's pretty much the best way I can describe it. Like I don't know how that made that. Like this is what I mean with testing, and this is gonna come back throughout the whole game. Like how when they basically said we want to make crossing more viable. So obviously someone tested this, right? Obviously someone did this cross and someone scored that way. How did they think this was okay? Like especially like in pro clubs when we played last time, it's like such a broken way to score that you couldn't miss. Like you can't miss those. They always
Yeah.
go in.
Yeah. And it's funny because like they added heading being manual, right? So if you head the ball in these online modes, the aim is up to you. But then the volley is like absolutely pinpoint perfect. But it also reminds me of this comment I got because in a video I said that statistically speaking, headers were pretty close. My hypothesis was that the heading scoring stat was pretty close to real life in FIFA 20. And then someone's like, that's false. I scored one header in 100 game. First of all, I doubt that you track that. Second of all, it's the overall like statistic of the whole game that I was talking about. You might never score a header because you never cross, but in the whole, if you look at Division 10 to Division 1 and you look at all the games played, all the goals scored, and you look at the percentage of goals that come from headers, I felt like FIFA 20 was closer to real life stats than FIFA 19, where it was like crossing was the main thing. And the only thing for me they had to change was like if you were a wide open header, like sure that should probably like be a lot better, but in general it was really good. Whereas now these contested headers are viable. These like far post wrapping at the speed of light is viable.
It literally magnetizes towards people's heads. Like you don't have to aim anything. You just press cross and it just goes. Like it has nothing to do with anything. It's not skill. It's nothing. You just press R1 and circle or square, whatever button you use. But I don't understand. Like that needs to be patched. If that's not patched, like it's so broken.
Yeah, it definitely needs, and it ruined. Just a bit of a tangent, but it ruined the pro clubs for us that night. I think We
Yeah,
play.
I'm not going back on pro clubs until they fix that. I mean, pro clubs has more issues because we'll delve into that. Like other aspects of the game are pretty well, not broken, but like it's just not fun to play. It's
Yeah.
just not fun to play.
And that's coming from us playing a lot of, we just play a bunch of us, like six, five, six, seven, depends on the night of us. And we play and we try to go 100 and 0 and just mess around. But we can't, we managed to do that last year in FIFA 20, right? As boring as it was, as annoying as it was, as repetitive as it was, the drag back into a scoop turn, blah, blah, blah. But defending on pro clubs, it's like beyond broken because of the counterattack crossing meta. But in terms of keepers, all I wrote down for keepers, I just wrote down broken because I have never seen in any start of any FIFA. I'm not saying I've never seen more broken keepers because I have, but I've never seen keepers so stupid when they come out. I've already got like a few clips of me manually bringing out my keeper and he just forgets the ball. I've got clips of keepers diving and contorting their body away so the ball goes in. I mean, have you had that?
I mean, the best example I can give is I was playing with Ethan, one of our friends, and he has the most. Obviously, he's a pro player, so he's one of the most broken teams in the game. And all pretty much 80%, 90% of our goals we conceded were a mistake from the goalkeeper, like an actual mistake, like the keeper smacking the ball back in front of the feet, like just blatant mistakes. And the goalkeepers are absolutely broken. They do nothing. They just I thought based on that game, based on that series of games, I thought Allison was the worst keeper in the game. But I'm thinking there's more goalkeepers like
Yeah,
that.
probably. I think this one is yeah, you should probably start here as the Pez master here because it's the dribbling one, right? And I know you don't like dribbling too much.
I actually hate dribbling so much. They destroyed left stick dribbling, and I genuinely do not understand why. I'm trying to understand why, because at the same time they brought in contextual dribbling, right? So
Yeah.
they brought in, for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically contextual dribbling. You can turn that on and off in your controller settings, right?
Yeah.
Or is it game settings? Either way, you can turn it on and off in your settings, and what it does is it basically makes the AI decide when you should strafe dribble. So it in certain scenarios you'll just all of a sudden start strafe dribbling, and it mixes up with your own dribbling. So it just makes the AI takes decisions out of your hands and basically decide for you what's best, and which is where the game is going in general. Because if you think well, there's a skill gap in left stick dribbling, right?
Right.
If you're really good at left stick dribbling, say someone like Kurt was really good at left stick dribbling because he's not allowed to play the game anymore, but he was really good at left stick dribbling, and there's not a lot of people that can play that way. And if you take that out of people's hands and you put that all into, because now we're all forced to strafe dribble to actually create some space, or either L1 or R1 or whatever buttons they use for that nowadays. So if you go towards that route where people nowadays, because I saw competitive players even play with contextual dribbling, even though we all have it off, but they had it on because they thought it was a good thing or it was broken or whatever. If you let the AI decide everything for you, so we can't have second man press because they don't want you to time the pressing anymore. We'll just put in team press. We'll just make you flip a switch. Now we can't left stick dribble anymore. We'll decide for you when to dribble. So it becomes, it's so catered towards the casual. It's actually crazy to me. I
Yeah.
don't know why it's I don't know why they go this direction. I mean, I know why they go this direction, but like I just disagree with this heavily, like heavily.
Yeah.
It's very broken.
What I wrote down, I wrote down pay to win is hell because I think it's true that like as you scale up with players, the dribbling feels a lot better. And we'll get into. I'll ask you something about that like when we, get over all of these topics. But even then, the dribbling is made in a way that there's just windows of opportunities for you to just lose the ball, and it's like they want to nerf dribbling, by making it something that's useful with better player, but at the same time, they want to make it easier for you to lose the ball. And maybe they're trying to do that to nerf possession hoarding. I don't understand R1 dribbling, which is like what we talked about, the contextual agile dribbling, and then strafe dribbling is still there. And I just don't like how skills are required to make turns. It's like they're not a tool anymore. You don't use the elastico to add some flair. You need the elastico. Like last year, you needed the scoop turn to position yourself. I find that so annoying, and it's like you don't want to have to be forced to do that, which is why the same way last year, FIFA 20, the whole meta is like getting to the last third and you're not playing football anymore. You're just doing a series of skills to like move in semicircles and just like if you're watching the YouTube videos, my hands are going everywhere, but that's kind of like what you're doing. And I don't agree with that at all. Like, why would you? And this is just me hypothesizing that they did this to nerf possession, but like the way they do it is so
the
wrong.
thing is, they nerf left stick dribbling, and at the same time they nerf jockeying. So you don't even notice it that much. If you still had FIFA 20 jockeying, you wouldn't get away from a defender,
No, no.
right? In this situation. So that's how you know how bad this left stick dribbling is right now. Like I don't like also when you put in contextual whatever it's called dribbling nowadays, you can't read your opponent anymore. You have to read what the AI is going to do.
Yeah.
Because they might come at you one direction and all of a sudden start strafe dribbling and you're like, what the hell's happening? Like I don't know like why do they sit there and like discuss this and think this is a good idea and put this in the game? Like it's so catered towards casuals, man. It's crazy. Like blows my
If
mind.
if if it was up for me, it would always be like left stick is always the father of dribbling, that you kind of master
It's
that.
so
You don't really
basic.
need it. Yeah.
Like why would you take that out? It's literally I press left, I go left. Like and have that be responsive. Like I don't understand why they took it out, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's weird because they add. It's almost like they want to feel more PES like and realistic, but then they also have the speed of light crossing. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
which one do you want?
There's no consistency in any other decision making because when it come we can like go into second man press now because this is your bread and butter. But like when it comes to second man press, they only look at the negatives, right?
Yeah,
They don't take in the positives. But when it comes to things like team press or contextual dribbling, all these things, all these decisions they make, it's like they only see their positive. I don't even know what the positives are, but they only see their positives and they do not look at the glaring negatives. They just ignore it. And I
yeah,
don't understand. Like if you just blatantly say, okay, we're gonna make this game for casuals and this is our decision, then our whatever we do is done. We don't have anything to say at that point. We can just say we disagree, right? But they also just try and make it seem it's for the health of the game or they're trying to make a healthy game. And I don't agree with that. I don't think this is the way to make a healthy game. But hey,
especially
who am
because
I?
I would add that if our hypothesis is correct and if it is to make it more catered to casuals, I would say that you're not even doing that because I think within the casual player base, there's casuals who want a game that as soon as they start left stick they feel good, and then there's
True.
some that don't. Like that's even assuming if the casuals want bad left stick dribbling. So it would be interesting to see like what the majority of the player base would feel like. I feel like the old school cracked left stick would be a lot better. But yeah, that brings us to defending, where we will like obviously touch on second man press. And what I really noted down so far playing the game is that obviously, like we mentioned, jockeying is a lot worse because it has to be a lot worse. If it was like last year, it would be impossible to dribble anywhere, and defending would be extra OP, especially because tackling from the side and behind is insanely good. Again, not sure why. It is what it is. I think tactics are overpowered as hell. On the D-pad, if you didn't know, you can trigger team press, which is not like last year, but concepts essentially the same. It just has a cooldown. Your mentalities, defensive mentalities, press after possession loss, press after heavy touch, constant pressure, drop back, anything that makes your AI do something is insanely overpowered. And a lot of people say, I get this a lot, like, oh, but it's a lot harder mechanically to move your thumb to the D-pad and activate team press than holding R1. And I'm just like, look, dude, like, if we're gonna base the skill gap just because it's inconvenient based on the design of a PS4 controller or Xbox controller to press that, like, what? Like, that's
Hand
just
dexterity right there.
that's just because the controller is designed like ass. Like, there's no other reason. That's the only thing. Also, there's also something in art about skill gap. Like, there's sometimes skill gap can be, for example, FPS in on a PC. It's not hard to move your mouse, right, and click the shoot button. It's easy. Everyone who has a PC can click and move their mouse. The art is that even though it's easy to do, who can track his opponent the best when you're in FPS? Not a lot of people. Like, sometimes the art is not in how hard it is to press a combination of buttons, but pressing the button. So second man press, it's easy to press R1, but the art is knowing when to do it, how to do it, with who to do it, and there is actually a lot of you could call it skill gap in just the pressing the buttons, because you have to combine it with right stick switching. So there is, but like, people think that just because it's harder to reach over to the arrow that adds to the skill gap. Like, you've completely misunderstood the skill gap there. And overall, for me, defending, the only good things are certain scenarios that were OP last year are a lot easier to defend, specifically like in two striker formations, when people like run at the defense, and blocking shots manually is good, but obviously there's a major downside to that. That I know you. Oh no, it was Ethan who really dislikes that. But what do you think about defending?
Did you see the clip on Twitter of
yeah.
Van Dijk stretching his leg up like a ballerina and basically taking the ball out of the air? Like,
yeah.
The AI blocks are different, man. Like, I mean, that also kind of shows the pay to win aspect, because the more expensive, they've said this, like the higher defensive mentality or something like that.
Yeah.
The more broken the AI blocks get, but like, damn, that was crazy. Like, I don't know, like, it's hard for viewers. You don't have the clip right now, but
I don't have the clip, but essentially, Van Dijk does a perfect split while standing up, like a ballerina. When ballerinas put their feet completely, they reach their head. That's where Van Dijk's foot reaches, and he blocks a shot with the tiptoe of his foot. Like, it's just insane. And they didn't show that when they showed examples of higher awareness blocks. They showed block like normal blocks. They didn't show the ballerina splits, which is hilarious. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, pick your poison. Would you rather that, or would you rather finesses from 30 yards through the legs?
I mean, that's an obvious question. Anything with nutmeg, but I don't think we should have to choose. No,
of course not. But like, I'm just saying, if you did,
if I have to choose, like, obviously I just take this, because I don't want. I'd rather just. I'd rather just not get nutmegged, because I'll find a way around those defenders, but I won't find a way to stop the nutmeg.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And that's why I'm so scared of nerfing it, because for once, more than ever before, if you're in front of a shot, you block it. And I'm a big fan of that. Now, it goes without saying that I see Van Dijk doing the splits and blocking a shot, and I'm not throwing a party over it. I'm pissed, of course. But like, I'm terrified, because I know how balancing a game like FIFA goes. I know how nerfing certain things go. And if they take away blocking manually just to fix the splits of Van Dijk's Superman, I don't think I'm personally happier after. But obviously, in a perfect world, we don't have to choose between picking your poison.
But like, what I don't understand is why, when they can make it like that, right? They can block the shots. Why are manual interceptions so bad? That has to be a like conscious decision, no?
You know why? Because you said manual. I'm thinking that Van Dijk clip where he does the splits to block a shot isn't selected by a person, right? I think that's just the AI of Van Dijk.
I think even normal interceptions aren't that great. I still see nutmegs. Like,
yeah,
I just don't understand. It's so different, man. Like, I don't know.
It must be that there's something coded into the passing that it's like, we need to allow people to pass, and if we don't, they're gonna be frustrated, because they won't be able to against like a way better player. So I feel like there's just so much
I
assistance in the
believe that.
pass that it overrides like the shot assistance to like scary extents.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's probably it.
Yeah. But I think the most important thing, and I've made a video about this, we've talked about this, defensively, like the number one thing this game screams for is second man press. I think in the game it's known as second man contain, which already the name's wrong. It should be called second man press. But if they don't add it, this game is without a shadow of doubt a nightmare for me to play. Now, of course, not everyone plays in Division 1 and it scales differently, but you know, I am at the end of the day, like you, like anyone else, a part of the community. So from my perspective, my feedback is this game is not playable without it. The same way, you know, kids play on butchered fields, but a pro athlete in a stadium that has holes will complain more because it's their livelihood, and like, no, this increases chances of injuries. But you know, if you're at Reese's and you're 7, you don't care if you're playing on mud pitches, you know. So everyone's got different standards, and by like my standards, I cannot physically play and defend without that feature. What would you say to people who have, because there are a lot of people who frown upon that feature and say that we don't need more AI defending?
Take out team press.
Right, that's also what I always say. The first thing I usually ask if I even engage in a comment like that is, would you keep or remove team press? And I've only had one person ever say, I would also remove team press. And at that point, I'm like, all right, I don't agree with your views, but at least you're consistent. Like, at least you understand that if you don't want second man press in the game, you also don't want team press, and you also don't want constant pressure. So at the very least, if you're not a second man presser, I demand that you advocate to remove team press. Those are my terms.
I agree. The problem here is like it goes back to the same thing. Do you want the like we act like possession or having a dominant team is a bad thing. There's always going to be a better team in the game. Like someone's always going to have the better of the play. Someone's always going to have more of the ball. Like why is this a bad thing?
You know what?
Why are
That's a phenomenal point, because that's actually, I just realized, like I always knew this, but that puts it differently. I don't necessarily want second man press so I can have more possession. I want second man press so if someone does have possession, I'm calm. If someone's holding 70% possession around my box,
Exactly.
the problem is that I don't have a tool to defend it. You can hold as much possession as you want. Give me the tools to defend it, and I can be patient and defend it. Without second man press, eventually, you're screwed. Completely screwed, because something I didn't mention, switching in this game that refers to defending, is awful. So it's like
terrible.
With second man press, I still have to switch a lot, but it allows me to push people in certain areas, and so switches are therefore going to be less likely to mess up because people are less crowded. So I can like it's very clear where you're switching to.
Yeah.
And finally, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, nothing. Go ahead.
The last is really just a miscellaneous, because it's like offensive AI, defensive AI. What I wrote is that, yeah, offensive AI is better in this game, but I think it's not as good as people make it out to be. It's true that once you got the Mbappes and Neymars, it's like they do things that others don't. Manual runs are cool, very cool concept, but in practice, again, we go back to, you know, different players, different skill brackets. At my skill bracket, I definitely say I would overuse them. Even though I've mastered them, I feel like it was a bit of a waste of time. And the runs are too slow off of it. And I kind of get it, because if they're too fast without second man press, how are you going to stop them? But at the same time, don't tell me like that's how I break a defense, because it's not. Player lock feature, big no-no for me. I don't know. No.
What went through their minds with that? Like, please explain to me what were they smoking at the time? Because I need some of that. I'm so confused.
Man. I've seen people. What kills me is that people are trying to learn it, so they'll literally player log, and if you're listening, you're like, "What is that feature?"
Explain what it is, because I think a lot of people don't even know what it is. Like,
basically, if you press in while you have the ball, if you press in both of your analog sticks, you literally click in. At that point, once you pass off the ball, you still select the guy who you just passed off the ball, and the AI now has the ball. Your AI teammate has the ball, and so you can run around freely and then ask for the ball back. So if you press then square, your teammate will cross it to you and stuff like that. I think you can even tell your teammate to shoot. So if you think you're bad at shooting, just pass to your AI before, like player lock, pass to your AI, tell them to shoot, and they'll do it for you. I wonder if that even works. But the point is that you're essentially playing, it's very similar to playing pro clubs, and you're playing with a bunch of friends, and none of you is the any, so none of you is controlling the players that are ideally selected by whoever is the any. So everyone's like, that's not selected on the team is an AI teammate, and you just request the ball. And it's very weird to see that in 1v1 gameplay. If it's very overpowered with this meta that doesn't have second man press, and crossing is OP, because at that point you can give off the ball to a teammate on the wing, select someone in the box, run away, call for the cross, and you're wide open in the box.
You want to know what I want to do? You know that meme on Twitter where people reply to the other, like to someone saying who asked?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a poster out of that and put that in the office in like EA headquarters. Like who asked? Like who needed player lock? who needed contextual dribbling? Like who asked? Like who asked for this? I don't get it, man. Like why do they make up these things?
You know which meme I want to make? You know, have you ever seen that meme where there's people in the office, the guy's saying we need an idea, and then three people say something,
yeah,
they throw him out the office. The fourth guy who gets thrown out the office, it's like the question is how do we combat possession hoarding? They did this, player lock, contextual dribbling, and then the last one, second man press, and they throw him out the window. Oh, I think that's a good one. There's so many you can make. And then what else did I write for miscellaneous? I just wrote the Elastico, and just in general, like these skills are so broken, but they kind of have to, because you can't turn without them. And although I think defensive AI in certain instances does a slightly like better job, some of the times like they just run back still. I don't know, man. The awareness, defensive awareness is insane to me, man.
Don't. The thing is though, the fact this is a. What do you think about the whole pay to win aspect of this year? Because when you said defensive awareness, I thought about midfielders that literally just stand still.
Yeah.
That's why this current like counter meta where everyone just threw balls, everything. Your midfielders would just stop. They'll just stop. Like defending is not part of their job.
And now people will be like, "Oh, I thought you wanted less AI defending." So what do you say to that?
Your whole team splits up in two. In what football have you seen your center backs be 40 meters away from your midfielders? Like,
yeah,
what happened to... Go ahead.
And that's where segment press comes in, because if the segment press was a thing, I can move two dudes at once, and now I can play with one CDM instead of two CDMs, because I can push a CM back. I can run back with a CM, bring him back myself, hold segment press temporarily, and then switch back to the defense. Like, you know, there's no options, and that's what kills me. I think that clip that I showed with the second man press shows that as soon as I switch away from the winger, he just starts walking. In what world, all right, on the counter, does everyone in the team stop running except for one person? Why is the offensive player in this game got player lock? He can trigger 5 runs at once, tell them where to run. He can ping light speed crosses, but the defender can only select one person? What? Man, it's so...
I think listen, I don't need the CDM to actually sit there tracking you down, doing whatever. But at least track back, like at least try and make an effort to get near the defender, like the team, like hold the team shape. And they just stand still. They literally just stand still. That's why we played co-op together. You realize how broken like the AI is when you play co-op, because everyone just spams a through ball. Like it's crazy, man. I love co-op, but the way the state of the game is now, if you play in like Division 1, you'll notice, because the meta hasn't formed for most people, and most people haven't been playing as long. But
for sure,
oh man, this is gonna get really bad. I can tell you that much.
I mean, Weekend League is just around the corner, and it's hilarious that you say that whole team shape thing, because it's so true. It makes... Why do you think we have to play with two striker formations and 2 CDM formations? Unless the certain exceptions are like 4-1-2-2, but the reason that works is because like you tell one of the CDMs to like drop between defenders. There's certain like exceptions, but in general, because they don't hold team shape, a 4-3-3 is absolutely redundant because your right center mid and left center mid are not good enough offensively, and they don't give you the right runs offensively, and their liabilities defensively. You eliminate so many formations from the game just for that reason alone. Defending with 3 CMs should be way better than a 2 CDM formation because you have 1 CDM who's an anchor point and 2 guys that you can alternate with a press. But it doesn't work that way because they don't run back. You don't have second man press, and it makes no sense. Like, having 3 in the middle should be a huge advantage. That's why like a 4-3-3 in real life can like destroy a 4-4-2 in the middle because it's always a 2v3, but it doesn't translate that well. So like, how is this a simulation, dog? Like, just play pro clubs and you'll see this is not a simulation because one pass through a net, goal. We're all for offensive gameplay, and we're all for like exciting gameplay, not 0-0s, but not for the sake of it, not because it's forced, right? It has to have like, you have to be the one that makes that happen, not because of the shortcomings of the game. That's exactly what this game feels like. Everything and anything that's good that happens in this game at the end of the day comes down to the shortcomings of the game, not being good enough, finished, or not giving you the tools to deal with it. So just things happen for the sake of it. It's almost like giving. Dude, I don't even know a good analogy for this, and I can usually think of a pretty bad one on the spot. But like, it's like we went of the year where people couldn't score, and now we're just letting them score for the sake of it, rather than like it being a good reason.
Yeah, I agree. I think the idea behind, okay, we score more is fine, but like how you go about like achieving that is really important.
Yeah, it's the what and the how.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, they've just tried to make a more scoring game just by doing whatever the hell they want. Now you just get 7-5 games and no one sitting there like, okay, like the only way I can probably defend is just slap out some FIFA points and get Van Dijk and Varane. Like, there's no other way, apparently.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of questions that I prepped here because I want to ask you these and see where it goes. I think I'm going to leave one for not instantly because that opens up the whole 20 versus 21 thing. But the first thing I want to ask you is I saw recently, and you saw it too, there was a Run the Foot Market tweet where, you know, he's a very good player, obviously doing well in draft at the start. All of a sudden he goes 1-6 in draft, and he's like, did they add skill-based matchmaking in drafts friendlies? What do you think? Is there skill-based matchmaking in draft/friendlies, or any other explanation for the 1-6?
So this year, I mean, obviously we're both players of the Road to Glory, so I can't be asked to play draft with my own coins. But I asked like the people that we know, and like a lot of them seem to, well, a couple of them seem to say like during certain hours you'll face like really sweaty players or whatever. And I don't really believe in it, but they're convinced that during those periods they have skill-based matchmaking. I said, well, it doesn't really work that way. Either you have skill-based matchmaking or you don't, because they face people that are really bad as well in their eyes. So I don't think it's a thing. I just think it's a thing. There's not a lot of bad players, or maybe there's not enough like lower tier players playing draft because they just don't want to like waste their points anymore, or coins, or whatever you think. So it's usually the better players that play draft, and if there's lower tier players playing it, there's not as many, I think. Because what's the point of going into draft if you know you're gonna first round?
Especially at the start, dude. This is like prime time. Every year there's more and more sweats that put more and more money in this game, unfortunately, because they're chasing this whole competitive thing. And I did a 12K of draft last year, and it was the worst time of my life because not only is this the concept like so tiring for me, but like at a certain point, like I just don't care anymore, dude. I'd rather just burn the cash into packs, and that's why I didn't put points down this year, because I knew I didn't want to play draft. Dude, I don't think there is. I think it's just prime time want to be pro hour right now, and like everyone's a sweat there, and you get a couple of like exceptions here and there, but I would not want to be playing drafts right now, dude. No chance.
Same. I don't want to play draft, not even because it's sweaty or whatever. I just don't enjoy draft. I don't enjoy playing with any team other than my own, or having to play a formation I don't want to play.
Dude, at a certain point, if you're a competitive player, you have 60,000 FIFA points all for draft. You have to understand that at a certain point, little Timmy, you put 12K, will finish those drafts. You know, like
Yeah.
he's not gonna be there forever. So I think that's the thing. If you have like so many, and this is what a lot of competitive players do, so many points in draft, it is what it is. You're setting yourself up to have to beat the best players. Now, it's the start of game now, and as usual, we are among the only people who were as critical. I've seen a lot of people, in fairness, I watched Inception's video today where he says he likes the game. But I was very pleased to see that everything negative he said about the game is exactly what we've been saying. Second man press, just keepers, literally to the T. So I'm very happy that at least, even if someone enjoys it, they'll point out that this really needs to change. And so, I'm happy about that. But in general,
you know what he enjoyed about this game? I'm actually curious because I didn't see this video.
He said it's fun. It's fun, and the finishing is better, which is what we said, and the offensive AI is better. But he also said that second man press, a revised version of second man press, should have been made for this game, which is what we've been saying for ages, and I was really happy to hear that. Clicked like on that. Never clicked like faster when I heard that on a video. And pretty much, he said tactics are OPs. Like literally everything we said that we don't like about the game, he said. It's just at a certain point, he's just enjoying it, I guess, for now.
Okay, that's fine.
So I was happy to hear that, but the difference is that for us, a lot of these things are game breaking, and we're just negative. So what are your thoughts on why do you think that being critical is so frowned upon by people who act like they're so offended as if they even make the game? Like, we're not talking about devs being offended, like people who don't make the game.
I genuinely don't know, and I feel like people take everything so personally as well. The fact that I don't mind any. If you like the game, more power to you. I wish I was you at that point because I can't enjoy this game right now. But the thing is, this happened last year as well. Last year, I wish I had I could make a video compilation of the amount of tweets I said FIFA 20 is about to be the best FIFA ever made. And I'm seeing the same tweets this year again. And it's like a repeat every single year. To be fair, I've seen some people say this year that this game is buggy, glitchy, or whatever. But the thing is, the same thing I said last year applies to this year. You've basically just played like Little Timmy in draft, and your drafts are a bit harder or whatever. But like, especially this year, I feel like I see a lot of pro players saying they like it. The skill gap is better, but maybe that's because you're playing with your 25 million team against someone that's playing with their 300k team. You know how big the difference is? Like, I could not believe my eyes when I played with Ethan's team in co-op. It's like night and day. And I have a pretty decent road to glory in my own opinion. I don't even have that bad of a team. But it's like you're cheating. It feels like you're cheating. Like if you go through with Ronaldo and Mbappe, like defenders just bounce off you. I didn't know what I was seeing. I'm actually mind blown because every year I think pay to win is the worst it can be, and then the next FIFA comes out.
Yeah. I think at this point it's inevitable. Every year will be even more and more pay to win because they're trying to make it worth it. And I'll get back to that later. But you couldn't be more right about the cheating aspect. Oh my god. Those players are nuts. Not only have I played with Ethan's teams on co-op, I've played against Ethan now that he has his finished team, and I played before he had a finished team. So, alright, even when he had only just Mbappe and Neymar, playing him was one thing. Now that he's got Hullet and Varane and Van Dijk and Neymar and Mbappe and Ronaldo, no. I have never played a more pay-to-win game, and it's not even close. Like, we're talking galaxies apart. God bless anyone in the competitive scene doing an RTG. God bless anyone doing it in the competitive scene who spent 1 cent less than 1,000 euros. God bless everyone in the competitive scene who doesn't have Neymar and Mbappe, because it is not fair and it's an actual disgrace how out of touch the whole competitive scene sets this up to allow this sort of thing. But whatever, who cares about competitive? It is what it is at this point. If you're in it seriously and like just stop. It's not worth it.
I mean, that it shows though. I can see why they enjoy the game. If I had Neymar and Mbappe up top too, I could actually like do something that looks like left stick dribbling because I have those players. But like, while everyone is just struggling and running around me trying to catch me, like but like that doesn't make it fun, you know? Like it's not. You don't have to pay. You shouldn't have to pay £2,000 to be able to basically slap around little Timmy and get your enjoyment that way. I think if you objectively look at the game, you'll see a lot of flaws. And I think because we play Road to Glory, we see those flaws like way better than other people, I think.
And this reminds me, because I made a tweet the other day of how just pay to win it is. And obviously it's the start of the game, so everyone's in their like stop whining mood, you know. Oh, another people tell me, oh yeah, here we go, Stalin again, just being patronizing on the game. And some guy actually quote tweeted me, is like, how are you gonna say that Division 1 players don't know that they have a massive advantage? And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know, maybe because I'm a Division 1 player and I've literally said that, you know, this dude had a massive advantage, and he was like, and I've seen people react being like, no, I would win even with bronze players. I'm like, okay. Like, I've literally seen it. That's how I know. Like, what? Like, people, it kills me how sometimes people who aren't as, like, deep into the community as us, which is actually probably a good thing in the grand scheme of things, they then assume that a Division 1 player, because he's good, will also have the presence of mind to be objective. You'd be surprised how not objective a lot of these dudes are, man.
Absolutely. I'd say though, like Ethan plays with that team, but he obviously has to if he wants to compete. But he realizes how broken that.
No, this year he knows.
He's literally just laughing like how broken it is. Like he's just sitting there like, this is so bad. This is so bad. So in fairness to him, he is very objective when it comes to that.
He is, of course. He's one of the homies. But, otherwise, like, we wouldn't be able to like speak to him as much.
The whole meta thing. Do you think that when the meta form, like when do you think the meta is going to form for the bigger public? So not just the competitive players, but when do you think it's going to form for everyone so they can see like the really bad aspects about this game? Because we're like, how long are we in? Like a week?
It's a 13
like
game
the official
came out on the
release
9th,
of the game, like
so like
the
4 days.
Standard edition. So 4 days. How long do you give this game until everyone's gonna realize, oh shit, what is this?
I give it 2 to 4 weekend leagues. It really just 2 weekend leagues, best case scenario, and I mean hopefully 1 weekend league is enough, but I feel like a lot of people might skip that one. But 2 weekend leagues, and then anything else can be accelerated by a tutorial. It's kind of like being infected, bro. Like, you know, one person's infected, he touches one person, then, you know, it spreads. All of a sudden, everyone's doing one weekend by the 20th game, this guy's doing driven crosses. The next weekend by the 15th and the 10th, and now the first game, they're all doing it. So I think I'd say 2.
I think within 4 to 6 weeks, the whole like. Because I think it's going to be like FIFA 20. The whole thing is going to change. Like the whole public opinion is going to change because like right now already, like in Div 1, we're both in Div 1. Like everyone has a better team than us. If I had this team, this Road to Glory in another FIFA, I would have been so happy. And even right now, I'm happy because I have like a 500k team or some shit.
Yeah.
If I had this, like after a couple days of playing FIFA, I would be so satisfied. Everyone has a better team than me. Everyone.
Yep.
I haven't faced one team that's worth less than mine. And that just goes to show like how people they've either traded like crazy or spent so much money. But like this is what I'm saying. Like if in 4 to 5 weeks when everyone knows how to play, because there's so many people that still don't know how to play a game. They have no idea. They're still asking like for
20.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're asking for, okay, what custom tactics should I use? What formation should I use? So they still have no clue. when that gets public knowledge, when that gets to be public knowledge, it's over, man. And I think you'll even hear those pros say this game's bad.
Oh man, I really am. For the pros, it's a different timeline altogether because they need to be like locked up in a room together and play only each other, and then I think they might
Yeah,
understand. Play
yeah.
play your
Football
own.
simulator.
Yeah. Play Hullet v Hullet. Let's see what happens. But that's actually a perfect segue because I really hope that whenever it does fall apart and more people start agreeing, hey man, if they don't, more power to them because that means they're enjoying the game. But if they do, I hope that when they do, they agree before there's a first patch so we can avoid another first patch conspiracy.
Yeah, yeah.
And look, I'm not denying that patches change things. I'm not an idiot. Like, I remember the FIFA 19 patch that murdered, or no, was it 20? I don't remember. There was a patch in 19 or 20 that murdered finesse shots from outside the box. And that made drop back even more effective. But that doesn't mean that it buffed drop back. Drop back was always a problem. What happens when I think that this was 19 as well because people were complaining, oh, now I can't shoot from far anymore, and they patched like the no scopes. I think it happened in both games actually now because I just saw a comment in the chat. But basically, people are like, oh, you shouldn't have patched long shots. But like at this point, you have a thing in the game that is good against drop back for the sake of it being good against drop back. What happens when two poor individuals who don't play drop back play each other? All of a sudden, you can shoot from 40 yards with a green time no scope finesse because it works in this game and it's broken, except you're under no pressure because this guy's not playing drop back. So it's like you shouldn't have things in the game just because they help against something that's broken. You're kind of ignoring the problem. So like something's gonna change, right? And it's gonna make drop back better. And people are gonna say that's what ruined the game. No, drop back has always been good. Counterattacking will always be the meta in this game. And that's that. And that's what people always like blame it.
I mean, it takes people playtime. I think. The crazy part is that after a couple days of playing, you already have a FIFA fails video that that has so many crazy clips in it that you're just mind blown when you see that. So you're just one person. So imagine like if everyone plays and everyone sees these moments, it's gonna be crazy.
Dude, there's gonna be so many FIFA fails compilations. I'm just using it with my own clips. Episode 2, 100% next week. Guaranteed. You know, we're already on one a week for FIFA fails. It'll probably be longer than 5 minutes this time. We already got penalty calls that shouldn't be penalty calls. We got anything and everything you can imagine. The game is, I'm not saying it can't be fun. I'm just saying it's broken. Like, it's not, it doesn't feel finished. And you know, with everything that happened with COVID, like I can't blame them, but at the same time, you know, it's a AAA £60 product, so it is what it is. You know, and we there's a certain standard that we have to meet, like you mentioned earlier. Now, a big issue is the whole pay to win aspect. I wanted to ask you, how would you then differentiate between low level rated and high level rated players in a way that if you do have like Mbappe, you're still dribbling better than Nakajima?
No, I think there should be a difference. I don't think it should be night and day though. I don't think I should be able to like say 17, right? We always go back to 17. 17 there was an apparent difference between lower tier players and higher tier players, but you could still, because the base of the game was good, you could still you would play Div 1 with bronzes for fun, right? And you could
Yeah.
still do that. So I mean, obviously, there's still people playing weekend league with bronzes. Those guys are just cracked out of their minds. But like, that was FIFA 20, by the way. But like, that's the whole point I'm trying to make, though, is
To be
the whole
fair,
base of the game. What?
it was bronzes with R9, no? Because you need
Oh,
someone to
okay, yeah.
scoop
Then
turn.
in that case, I think there was someone that just did. Like, regardless of that, those are outliers.
Yeah.
The whole point is it shouldn't be that game breaking that I sit there thinking, how am I going to beat this? Just because you have those players. Like, if I play those players, if I play a player with the similar team and I beat them 5-0, right? I shouldn't struggle or get beaten by them just because they have a better team than me.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't think I don't
5
think
mil
it
is too
should be
much.
that apparent. I don't think it should be that apparent.
Yeah, 100%. So if FIFA 21 came out last year and this year we are now playing FIFA 20, do you think that you'd be more fed up with FIFA?
Man, that's a tough question. I don't think I could be more fed up with FIFA now. To be honest, like there's just so many. Like the problem is, I just see broken things. Like I can't really enjoy the good aspects of because I loved co-op. I love the idea of co-op. They should definitely do more of that and like delve into that whole aspect of playing together because that's the fun aspects of this game. But like the state of the game right now, like the way it is, the way the AI is, the way it's through ball simulated, the way the meta is, I don't even enjoy co-op that much anymore.
No, it's terrible. It's
That's
terrible.
what I'm saying. Like I don't enjoy pro clubs anymore. I don't enjoy co-op anymore. And if it was just me, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm just crazy. But it's like everyone we play with has that same like mentality.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah, I
probably
don't.
would have enjoyed co-op more just if it was a separate mode with separate skill rating for separate rewards. Because like I don't
That
understand how
too.
we're in the same skill rating. It's so stupid. So many
But the
issues.
meta
They're
still
worse.
still is still an issue to me in that game mode because
Yeah.
it's just through balls. Like it's you just play one style. It's
Yeah.
not you don't do anything else, and it's so boring. Like you just get fed up with it. But it is what it is.
That's gonna be it for episode 1. Anyone, YouTube, wherever, suggestions for future topics, and we'll get to that. Until next time, peace.